Welcome to the Risk Never Sleeps podcast, in which we learn about the people that are on the front lines delivering and protecting patient care. I'm Ed Gaudet, the host of our program, and today joining us is Bob Berbeco, CIO of Mahaska Health. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Ed.
Let's start off with sharing with our listeners a little bit about your current organization and your current role.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm the CIO here at Mahaska Health. I lead the organizational information technology, data science, AI, cybersecurity, pretty much everything when it comes to technology here at Mahaska Health. And just going into my background a little bit is prior to Mahaska, I've been a senior leader in healthcare technology for a pretty long time. And I've done predictive analytics, process optimization, AdCar, change management, service line administration. I've done operational side too, business intelligence, a number of things. Won't bore you with the details, but a number of things.
No, I love that. I looked at your background, informatics, you were CTO, done data governance. So it seems like all of that work, puts you in the position you're in currently. And so love to explore a lot around AI, the things that you're doing with AI. But let's start off with, as you look into entering into 2026, which isn't that far away, if you can believe it already.
Yeah.
Where did the summer go? It's just like, it's crazy. But what are your key initiatives over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, I would say the biggest initiative that we have right now, and we're really excited about this, is in my background, there's a couple of items that I tend to focus on. One is data analytics, but in the terms of creating a measurement culture. The other is I do have a Six Sigma black belt, so I'm very focused. My passion is just continuous improvement and optimization. So that gets me to what I'm excited about is we're in the process of growing a data science and AI center of excellence here at Mahaska Health. And that would be a strategic hub for healthcare analytics, research, AI for us. We're going to be working on predictive modeling, machine learning, and receive research support for advanced publications, as well as ensuring that there's data and ethical governance. And for us, it's going to get us down that path of innovation. There's a lot of things that we do well. We're anticipating where the future is headed. And so we want to get on that track. The one other aspect of this I just want to mention too is the group. So I'm included, of course. I'm kind of catalyst for this, but we have providers. So we have providers, we have clinicians, we have informatics, we have technical people. We have people who are engaged. I have a CMI work who is engaged in this process. And that's really important when it comes to healthcare is making sure you don't want to have the room too large, but you do want to ensure that you have people with different lenses and different focuses on what they do daily. So it helps you to put together a picture of what we want to get accomplished.
I love that. Any tips or tricks that you've used over your career to collaborate with physicians, clinicians? I know that's a challenge for some folks, and anything you could share.
Yeah. I channel a curious beginner's mind. So I have experience. I have things that can come to the table. But when I engage with others, I sincerely want to learn their background. I sincerely want to learn what's important to them and how I, as with my background, can help them deliver results and do things better for them. So with providers, I listen to it. And listen to what they have to say, as well as, so I'm going to get excited. I haven't been a provider. So there's things in their background that they see on a daily basis that I don't. And it's fascinating. So I listen to that. And then I listen to what are some things that we, technology wise, can help them in terms of, burnout and things like that. So yeah, that's my strategy.
So proactive empathy, which is I hear that as a common theme with folks that have been successful. So that's really, really good. Any challenges as it relates to communicating technology, and any advice you have for folks that are communicating technology to the board?
Yeah. Wow. These are great questions, Ed. I would, do your best. I have an experience, talking with board members. I have an experience of talking with executives. So I use that experience. However, if you don't have that experience, anticipate what those folks would be looking for. So try to do your best, and whether you talk to others to try and get that information, but do your best to channel what their lens is. Because technology, I think it goes without saying, I can go down the mumbo jumbo, we're out, but
Yeah.
people will get lost in that. So what's important to them, anticipate what's important to them, and then deliver the message to those three things.
I love that. I've seen people actually create persona-based chats and use that as a way to interact with board members, and what questions will you be asking me when I present this information?
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a great tactic. I'll add that to my repertoire.
Okay, cool. How did you get into healthcare and IT?
Yeah, another great question. So let's see. My path, I got a degree, a master's in computer science. And from that, I've always taken this path of learning. And a long story short, I got my first technical job, and then another job came up where it was healthcare. And at that point in time in my life, I didn't know much about healthcare. And so I took that role. And then throughout my life and career, I've always I take that learning approach. So I get back to beginner's mind. So throughout my career, I started with that position, and I interacted, created friendships, created mentorships with people, and just kept learning from them and taking what I learned into how I can grow over time.
Yeah, I think, you don't really, regardless of where you are in your journey, when you enter healthcare, you
Yeah.
realize quickly you don't really know healthcare until you're
Yeah. No, I love it. So, it's fascinating you even say that, Ed. So even, I mean, I've been decades, I'm seasoned. And I love what you're saying is, so a potential dark side could be as well, I know all there is to know.
Mhm,
Been
mhm.
there, done it, all of them. And that dark side, it's like you really have to fight that, because things are still changing, and healthcare is adapting. We have AI in the mix. If we want to go down that technology path, a lot of stuff is happening. A lot of stuff is happening fast. We have to get ahead of it. So I love how you mentioned, yeah.
Y and I love the black belt in Six Sigma, because I assume you apply that not just to technology, but continually learning and improving your own life and how you address. I can sense it. I see it.
It's funny you say that, and I approach it in my personal life as well.
Mhm.
And sometimes it can be irritating to those who are close to me. In that, I'm trying to think how to say this. I approach it like this logical, analytical kind of KPI. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
sometimes
great.
it's placed. There's other times it
Yeah.
doesn't. And actually, that's something I have to learn. Is I have to adapt to the situation as well.
Well, in that mental mode of staying curious too can be
Yeah.
irritating to people that know you. It's like 'cause there's that line between, confidence and, insecurity, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I
that's
love it.
that's really good. As you think about your journey into healthcare, I often hear about the shared mission that we all experience. What does that meant to you?
Oh, great question. So what I focus on in life is, and I internalize this a lot. Every day I'm looking for some way that I can influence something possible. And so when it comes to healthcare, how I channel in healthcare is, I may not be a provider or clinician. I may not be direct line support to patients. But there are things that we do in healthcare, even on the technology side, that can have a great positive impact on people who come and see us. And so I channel that. What can we do? Apply my experience, apply my team's experience. What can we do as technical people to help our providers and clinicians deliver the best care they can? And then help, in terms, we have artificial intelligence and analytics out there. What are some things some approaches we can take to be more proactive in how we deliver our
Mhm.
purchase.
What are the things that, as you look out over the next 12, 24 months, keep you up at night? What do you most worry or concerned about?
Oh, wow, that is a very good question. Outsider, cybersecurity is probably the easiest answer.
Yeah, right. We're all that keeps everybody up.
Right. I would say with artificial intelligence, it's grown so fast and it
Mhm.
seems it has all this promise out there. There's ethical risks that are potentially associated with it. And there's some good use cases too. There's technologies that exist right now where the artificial intelligence can look at, say, a CT scan and diagnose. That's great. The potential problem of that though is we are aware that AI does have hallucinations and they do make mistakes. So the potential problem is well that, if we just take and go, I mean, there could be a mistake made. How do we reconcile that when it comes to compliance? So there's as we keep moving these AI technologies forward, there's still this need to have human oversight. So whether it's clinical information or clinical diagnoses, there needs to be clinical based oversight over those types of initial diagnoses so that we're making sure that we're truly doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think a lot of people ran to AI and then realized, whoa, we need use cases. We need not just the security of the infrastructure and the data, but we need to look at the quality, the
Yes.
efficacy of the data.
Yeah, I love what you just said. The use cases. We do have to, it maybe it takes the sizzle and the sizzle around AI. Everyone's really excited.
To get
Yay.
everybody, yeah,
But we really have to be mindful and have that go through those use case pathways to make sure that we truly are, if it's baked in there, it truly is doing what we need to do. The last thing too that's kind of tricky about these AI technologies is they're kind of a black box today.
Mhm.
You don't know, and I'm generalizing, and I'm not a complete AI expert, but a lot of these large language models, we don't know the ethical, like we don't know some of what is behind the scenes on how it reaches its decisions. And so that creates another potential problem, overcoming. And I'll admit that does keep me up at night. The more those things are embedded, Black Hawks don't know how they're reaching their decisions. It
That's
gets a
right.
that's all.
That's right. And the frequency of change at the model level is
Yeah.
also unnerving because you could have all the ducks in a row for open chat GPT, open AI 4, and then 5 comes out and they've rewritten everything. And to make matters worse, sometimes they look at the prompt and they determine which model to use. So you
Yeah.
may have moved everything and now you're going backwards and looking at, it's just,
You're right.
yeah.
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 I do think about it. I try to channel the anxiety, if you
Mm.
will, as how can I do something productive? So that's yeah.
Nice. So if as you think about other things in your life, if you weren't doing this job, what would you be doing? What are you most passionate about outside of?
Wow. I think I would look to that is a great question. Whatever it is, I would want to be a leader of people and or mentor people in some way. I don't know how that would manifest. I really enjoy doing what I can to help others grow and mentor them, empower them. That's always been something that has been important to me. And I love that. And I love being a part of it. So that is I'm trying to think of a real good, crisp way of saying or giving you an answer to that. But that's how I'm wired today is wherever I see an opportunity and if it involves people, I jump in and do what I can. I'm not,
Nice.
I just do what I can to inspire or provide a positive output.
Any hobbies that you,
Yeah. You may chuckle at hobbies.
I don't
Yeah,
know. What are your hobbies? Okay.
I race motorcycles.
Oh, it's
Um,
so funny. I had motorcycle image in my head
Hey.
for some reason. Are you Ducatis or?
Yeah, Ducatis are some of them.
Nice.
That's fascinating. I race modern ones. I race vintage ones. So one of my motorcycles is from
Ooh,
1965,
like a
and
Triumph or
I'm sorry.
like a
No,
Triumph?
it is a Bridgestone.
Oh, I don't know the
Or
Bridgestone.
so Bridgestone was, and we're quite digressing, but
No,
a
this is
Bridgestone
great.
was a competitor to Honda
Ah,
back in the 60s. So their bikes look very similar to like the Honda Dream if you're familiar with those.
Yes. Yeah.
And they were short-lived. Bridgestones were short-lived. They were out there, I think, for about 5 years, something like that. It's a huge
Yeah.
struggle.
Last time I was on a bike was 16. I was at this concert in Coachella called Desert Trip, and we rented Indian Chiefs, and
Okay.
we're headed up to Joshua Tree Motel because that's where Graham Parsons died. So we were gonna pay homage to Graham, and who's a musician back in the 60s and used to collaborate with Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. And anyway, long story short is it's very windy there. And they don't tell you. And when you cross over to, I think it's 10, all of a sudden you realize why up in the horizon is this windmill of turbines. And you go, oh, wow, it's interesting they put them there. And then you realize, oh, that's why they're there.
I love it.
That's great that you still ride. Did I hear you say hobbies? So do you do other things as well?
I bodybuilt.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah.
and in when I was younger, I was very overweight. I was on a path to be morbidly obese. I made a conscious choice to not go down that path. And so ever since then, health has been important to me. I used to be the gym rat that, we work out, and I'd say I'd taken that to the next level about 10 years,
I know it doesn't look like it, but I too used to bodybuild.
Well, there's no
Joe
judgment.
Joe Weider, and, do you know who Joe was? Or, yeah,
It's
yeah, and,
personally, but I know who he is.
yeah, and it's so funny when you said "stay curious," what came to mind was "stay hungry,"
Yeah.
which an Arnold Schwarzenegger statement. I think a movie too, actually, he did called "Stay Hungry,"
Big-
all about bodybuilding back at, Muscle Beach in California, Venice Beach, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's very fascinating. And it's like a personal challenge to me. I like to challenge myself. So I like how you said stay hungry. Because there are aspects of trying where you're going to be hungry. But I see that as a personal challenge. Like it's a good one is it requires discipline. So I have the choice, and my choices will potentially have success or failure. And it's
Mhm.
really, as far as what happens. I know there's other people on the stage, but I have choices to make to present the best Bob I can, and then let everything else fall as it. And so
I I
I
love
love,
that. Yeah. Per Personal creed
yeah,
philosophy. No, I subscribe to that. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
yeah, I would say, and it's related to what we've just talked about, is I would say that I always be curious. Always, never, try to resist the urge to settle down. And what I mean is always, well, you mentioned the hungry. That's a real big way of saying be adaptable. So always, listen, always be adaptable and volunteer. And if you see gaps, continue to jump into those. And the last thing too is I pushed myself really, really hard when I was younger to do things. And I think with time, I've learned to be patient. Don't force things to happen. Just go down
Yeah.
and do your best, but don't force something to happen.
That's a lesson we learn with time, I think.
I
Yeah.
agree. No,
I was having that conversation with someone today about that. It's like, we don't have to rush it. It'll be there
yeah,
tomorrow. Let's take our time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the last, like something related is I learned that with change management is you didn't ask the question, but I'll, I am a change agent. So there's the pendulum. I swing all the way on the side of change. And that's something else I think I can add to what else I'm doing is learn other people. They're some are averse to change on this side, and then there's others are somewhere in the middle. And you can't swing over here and off and try to pull people in with. You really have to work with them. You kind of given bite-sized chunks is a good way of saying that. But I work with them at their level and show compassion and understanding. It's that time.
Yeah, and a lot of those blocks that the building blocks you have, like, continual improvement, right? I think you have to be wired to
Yes.
always be improving, whether you're professionally improving or personally improving, with that level of self-awareness that allows you to accept change in a way that sets one apart. Because most people, I think, to your point, are actually adverse to change. Most people, in fact, will create this inertia, will fight against change, whether they know it or not, consciously or subconsciously. Yeah, so I love that point about and the connection of those things. This is the riskiest. This is the risk never sleeps. It is pretty risky too. May not be the riskiest thing you've done this week, but what is the riskiest thing you've done in your life? It could be anything.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I would say like personally, motorcycle racing is probably,
That's
I mean,
pretty risky.
yeah, I mean, it almost goes without saying, but I've jumped out of planes.
Oh, wow.
I have,
Military or personal?
no,
Oh,
no, I'm
okay.
just, doing it for fun. Doing it for fun.
For fun. Said no one
And
ever.
the stratosphere, I would say the stratosphere personally was the scariest thing. It seemed like that I did because if you're, I don't
In
know if you're,
Vegas?
yeah, you basically
Oh,
jump off of it.
yes. I know.
Yeah.
You did that? Oh my
Yeah. And it's cable assisted. So well, hopefully I don't get too detailed on this, but when you jump out of a plane, it's like your mind is trying to process what's happened. So
Yes.
once you're out of the plane, it's not too scary because your
Right.
mind's kind of like trying to, so what's going on? I don't see the ground. With the stratosphere, when you jump off, you do see the ground. So immediately your mind gets that fear,
Oh.
reaction. And yeah, I'm gonna die. You see, and it's cable assisted. So it feels like until the cable starts slowing down, it
Mm.
feels like you're free fall. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so have you bungee jumped?
I have not done that. Yeah. I have not done that.
But this sounds pretty close.
I would think it would be. Yeah. And then professionally, the riskiest things I've done is I mentioned earlier that I would look for gaps and I look for things that would help me grow. I would look for projects. I would volunteer for projects that they were within inches that failed. Like,
No.
yeah, the plane was fine. I mean, they were on, was looking bad, and I just wanted the opportunity to try and put it in a good place. Make a positive difference.
I love
And
that. What is wrong with us? Why do we do that?
I know, I know. It's so fascinating. It's like change. So I learned. The first one was whole. I mean, it turned out well, but it was a learning thing. So a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Why did I do this? And then I learned that, wow, look at all the growth. Myself, my team,
Mhm.
all we really did is we were persistently positive. Now we didn't have our eyes where we didn't have our head in clouds. We were still
Grounded.
thinking things, but we were persistently positive. And just by having that catalyst within the team and us constantly working towards a positive outcome seemed to help. You just learn so much. Like the hardest things in your life, the worst things that can happen to you, you learn a lot about yourself. So
Those are the best lessons. You gotta have failures, and you gotta be okay with that because you
absolutely,
learn so much through
you
the
know,
failures.
you take those lessons learned, not to, I call it a root cause analysis. So it sounds all scientific, but I do. It's like I take those lessons learned into a root cause analysis and what can I do to just make myself 5% better at doing things.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't take it personally.
So
Try to look at it, meet it, meet it in a place that's positive and offers a learning experience. I love that. All right, this is my favorite question. So you're on a desert island. What top 5 records, albums would you bring?
yeah, well, I had three. So
Okay, well, we'll go with 3. We can always add.
So there are two albums, and it'll be interesting. One is the Patch Mode of Dark Celebration,
Ooh, I love
and the other one is
Depeche
Skinny
Mode.
Puppy wrote it.
Wait, Skinny? Did you say I know Skinny Puppy.
Hey, awesome! Shut up. So do I.
Did you ever hear Scratch Acid?
Ah,
That's another band that,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, in the contect behind those, and then I'll get to my movie. I had the two album. Is so Paul and I, my wife and I, we've been married for 32 years. We met each other 34 years ago. And during that time in my life, given those albums, you probably could guess that we might have been on the punk side.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It brings back. So every time I listen to those albums, I could listen to them over and over and over again because that's when we met. That's every time I listen to those albums, it reminds me of her. And she has had Like her influence and presence has had a profound impact on who I become over
Oh,
the.
that what a great story. I too was into I've been into all types of music, but I went through my punk phase like probably everyone else, and there's a place in Boston. So I went to school in Boston. It was called the Rathskeller. I don't know if you ever heard of the Rat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I've seen hundreds of punk shows. The, Suicidal Tendencies, remember them? Anybody from the Repo Man soundtrack, I would try to go see, like
We saw them too.
yeah. You like Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers and Roadrunner, the song Roadrunner?
Modern dwellers. It's been a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's great, yeah, you don't find too many people that like punk anymore.
No, no. And yeah, and once again, it's every time like I could listen to those albums, I never get tired of them.
Yeah.
And then I won't go too much into details, but there's like certain songs at certain moments that Paula and I share that every
It's
time I listen to
beautiful.
that song it brings back Evan.
Oh,
So
it's beautiful. Yeah, I have that with my wife. We met in college, and we have a couple
oh
Cure songs, that are really special.
yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. And all right, so last question. What advice would you give to kids graduating out of kind of they're not probably kids at this point, right?
yeah.
They wanna come into healthcare, they wanna come into IT. What advice would you give them?
I would give them the advice. So what is going to become important with technology is there was a time when I was younger when you can be that technical person and be purely technical. You can just focus on technology and not interact. I would say my advice is learn wherever your customer may be, learn from that. Learn, try to proactively anticipate what their needs are and work to deliver solutions to those needs. But also like have the beginner's mind, have the learner's mind, be adaptable. Don't go in thinking you know it all. And that's actually my last important point with this is don't be the smartest or no, don't be the smartest person. Is try to surround yourself with the smartest people.
Yes.
That's actually something else I forgot to mention earlier. That's something else that as well weigh it yourself. I always thought it was necessary to be the smartest person. I would
Amen.
advise not. In fact, try to be one of the lower ones because
Yeah.
being in that room, you will learn so much from them. And then they'll take you a step higher. And then the next time, they'll maybe be more smart people. So it's just you just grow so great through that.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, as we like to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. You can
Uh,
always be learning. Always be learning.
always be learning, always be learning. Bob, thank you so much for joining the program today. It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate this, Ed. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. This is Ed Gaudet from the Risk Never Sleeps podcast. And if you're on the front lines, protecting patient safety and delivering patient care, remember to stay vigilant because risk never sleeps.